Hi guys, Steve Crawford, owner and trainer at Your Spending Coach. And today what I'm doing is giving you a bit of a rundown of what you'd get if you came along to our 2-day intensive personal money management workshop. The first thing you're going to get is a program that delivers real results in either your mortgage broking or your financial planning practice. The 3 columns in orange that you can see here, they're the real results that our experienced wealth clients, our financial planning and mortgage broking practice, you can see that's what they've gotten there. So just under last financial year, just under 24% of their take-home income, our average clients saved. The average Aussie during the same sort of 3-year period, you can see they're still saving money, which is good, but it's actually down and dropped from sort of just under 10% to just under 8.5%. So during a period where interest rates have gone down, where to an all-time record low, where food costs are probably about as low as they've been at any time in recent history, average Aussies, they're just not saving, whereas our average clients have not only continued to save a great amount of money, but they're actually increasing their savings year on year. And we think there's a couple of reasons that's driving that. The first, they've got a really strong reason to want to save money in the first place. So having a goal, a savings goal, is the single most important component behind any good savings program and the results that you're going to get. If there's no reason to save, it's actually really hard to save. So that's one of the things we work on in the workshop. The second is having a support program that makes it really easy once you've decided what you're saving for, a support program that actually makes it really easy for you to be able to do that. So there's 3 components to ours, and I'll talk through each of those components in a little bit of time. The last bit is, in our opinion, having a coach. So hopefully what's happened here is our clients have got a reason to save money, they've got a support program that makes it easy for them to be able to do that, and then they've got a coach that helps them get the best version of themselves and back on track if they go off track, and push themselves if they want to be pushed. So those 3 things combined have delivered the results that are there. And in the program, in the day-and-a-half workshop, what I'll do is I'll actually teach you everything I've learned and we've done in our practice over the last 8 years, since 2008. So in particular, what you're going to get in the program and at the workshop, so it's a day-and-a-half boot camp, but it's more than just that. We're actually going to give you a kit bag, and for anyone that's listening that's actually working at a licensee or an aggregator, we've also got the ability to do extra work where we do train the trainer or any sort of ongoing peer group work with your guys or girls after they've done a workshop. The boot camp, it's going to help you focus on building a new component to your value story. The kit bag is going to remove any barriers that you've got to make sure that the day you want to open your service or launch your program, you've actually got all the tools to be able to do it straight away. And then for licensees and aggregators, if this is something that you think you'd be interested in, then having a workshop for your team ensures that you don't have a key dependency on one person, and it increases the effectiveness of your spend on the program. The workshop's deliberately broken up into 2 components, the first day being theory and the second day being the practice. So on the first day, what we're going to go through is initially helping everyone that turns up, helping you work out what strategic problem you're trying to solve by bringing a money management solution to your business. There's loads of workshops, there's loads of new initiatives, there's so much stuff that we can do in our businesses to help them be better. So our question is, what's money management going to do for you? Now, we're confident that it will help, obviously, but by having real clarity around what problem it is that you're actually trying to solve, that helps shape the way that you actually implement the program, because there's lots of different implementation options, everything from the technology to your reporting frequency to your engagement model. And so by having clarity around what specific problem or problems you're trying to solve from the outset, it helps you filter all your different options to choose the ones that are right for you. Second thing we're going to work on is mapping out an avatar for your ideal client, specifically focusing on money management. And the reason why we start with just one ideal client is if you can build it for this ideal client, then for all your other target client groups that you're going to bring it for, you should be really, really good at launching it out. Plus, it's also much easier to create one program for one type of clients to start with than it is to try and do it for, say, 3 or 4 different versions. Next, we'll look at the three components of the actual program itself. So the budgeting exercise and everything that goes with, the idea that having a budget is a good thing, not an evil thing. We'll look at getting banking structures that support good spending and savings habits, and then reporting, which is providing your feedback loop to your clients over the course of the year. Day 2, we focus on the practical side of things. So looking at a real life case study, we're actually going to walk everyone in the workshop through each component of the process. So setting up the budget, setting up the banking structures, looking at quarterly progress reports, and everything else that goes in between. So really practical, hands-on, step-by-step guides. This is what the first meeting looks like, second meeting. These are the tools that you use, and so on. Throughout all of this, we've got a pitch to it. So I'll actually show you in each of the workshops how to position everything with clients. And then obviously you're going to have to be able to price it. So we go through all of the different aspects and options that you've got around pricing and the costs to deliver the program itself. Finally, we'll talk about how you can develop a 3-month pilot program to roll out in your business when you get back home. We're going to kick off any conversation with our clients around the journey towards financial independence, because as advisors and mortgage brokers, we've sort of been, that's the reason why we do this stuff, right? So our clients want to achieve their goals, and their goals are really just a demonstration of their ability to be independent because they've got more choices and options. As different areas, service areas, we've had options typically in these bottom 2 sections being strategies around what they do with their money, and the products that they can use to actually put their money somewhere. But largely, as two professions, we've been stuck with not too many options historically around helping them actually increase how much money they've got at the end of each month. So what we're going to do it to start with when we work with you in the workshop is actually help you understand, well, what do you think is going to drive value for your clients, and how much impetus does money management actually bring to that conversation? Because depending, again, on how you view this part, that'll shape how you weigh up the different options. If you've got a huge belief that money management is going to be the single most important thing, then obviously your money management program should have all the options included in it. If your belief, though, is money management is a nice to have, but it's not as important, then you should probably deliver a much skinnier program. So you sort of got to start with this belief system first to look at all the different other options. Then you go into the actual spending and savings program components. And so there's 3, as I said before: budgeting, banking, and reporting. And the combination of those 3 things helps your clients achieve all of these different goals that they're working towards, that they need savings to be able to achieve. So the first one's budgeting. And budgeting really goes through 4 stages. The first stage is that your clients absolutely have to accept that budgets are good, not evil. If they don't do that, you're never going to be able to help them. But once they've gotten past that stage, and typically if they're saying things to you like, I'm interested in a cash flow program, or I've got some sort of budgeting app that I'm using, they're in the right headspace and they're ready to move to the next stage, which is actually working out what it costs to be them. So in the workshop, what we're going to teach you to do is identify which stage your clients are at, and then how to move them through the stages in the fastest possible time frame, but also in a way where they commit through each stage and keep progressing instead of sort of jumping too far ahead too quick. Improvement is once the clients have a really good understanding of what it costs to be them. Typically, you'll see that between month 3 and month 12, but specifically normally between month 3 and month 6. And then improvement is, instead of going from this is what we used to spend, it's this is what we want to spend. And they're really starting to focus on hitting their targets. Finishing up at performance, which is where they're consistently hitting their numbers over the course of every quarter on average, and then over every year. You're going to need support tools to be able to do this, and we'll give you some around the budget planner, and then the guys at Xero and MoneySoft are 2 of the best providers that we think to be able to help you do that. And depending on the type of business you run, you want to go down one path or the other. Xero is obviously better for accounting practices. MoneySoft's probably better for planning practices and mortgage broking businesses. One of the other things we'll give you from signing up to the program is access to our benchmark. So when clients start out, they don't really know what they spend money on. So having something like a straw man or woman or a template that they can measure themselves off makes it really easy for them to get going. It also gives them a chance to check back in over the course of a year to sort of reality check how good their numbers are, how realistic their budgets are, and how they're actually progressing. It gives them another way to be competitive as well. We've got a lot of clients that like trying to beat the savings result of the average in their peer group. So it's a really valuable tool, one of the most valuable things that we've got when we're working with our clients, and we'll show you how to use it with your clients as well. Once you've got past the budgeting exercise, then you get into banking. Now, I think this is a really important component. I'd argue it's probably the most important out of the three. Because budgeting is where their money lives, and if they've got a good setup, it makes it easy for them to be able to see what they've got for their bills, what they've got to spend, and what they've got for their savings. A really bad setup blends everything together, and it makes it so hard for them to hit their targets. So we teach you how to understand the psychology of your clients and work out what sort of banking structure works best for each type of client, because singles should be slightly different to couples, should be slightly different to families. So we spend a lot of time in the workshop working through how you actually do that. Last is reporting. So this is, if budget's the exercise of setting a target, then reporting is the exercise of providing feedback around that target. So if we think you got 4 options, you can provide feedback on a weekly basis, on a monthly, quarterly, and yearly basis. And the idea here is to try and tailor the right feedback in the right way for the right time frame. So every week, you're probably not going to want to send your clients a full balance sheet report, a 12-month trend report, a breakdown analysis on their utility bills. Probably just, highlight 3 or 4 key spending areas that if they focus on those, largely that can drive their results. Monthly, you're starting to provide some more depth to it. So an income and expense trend, maybe a budget versus actual report. Quarterly is where you're really starting to provide a lot more context to what's going on around their numbers. So you can give them quarter versus quarter comparisons, how they've tracked since inception, how they've tracked since the beginning of the financial year, and then start to weave the peer group back in there as well to show them how they're going compared to not only their own targets, but everybody else in their group. And yearly is really good for resetting for the next 12 months. It's also really good for getting sort of combined numbers to use for debt projections and super projections or anything in your planning or your mortgage broking tools. So I said we're going to make sure there's no obstacles, no barriers for you, and we do that by giving you a kit bag, which is constantly topped up. As soon as you've done the workshop, you access a Dropbox folder where we store all the tools in the kit bag, and every time we add something or we update it, you automatically get the most up-to-date version. So you can see there on the screen, there's so much stuff that we give you. We really wanted to give you no excuse to be successful. Because it's all the stuff that we wish we had when we started this 8 years ago. So we've just decided to give it to you now. It's all white labeled, so you can chuck your own logos on it. Obviously, just run it past your compliance guys first to make sure that they're cool with you using it. So from here, you've got some options. Love for you to register for an upcoming workshop, and I'll show you the website details later. Keep an eye out for our online course that's going to come out in the end of the first quarter in 2017 for those of you that are interested in doing this stuff remotely. Talk to your PDM and your BDM about getting them more involved. We always get a lot of questions in our workshops from our coaches around, well, how would our licensee view this, or how would our aggregator view this? If you're thinking of coming to a workshop, let them know before you go, because if they're working with you, it makes your job so much easier. And if you've got any questions about anything at all, absolutely let us know. 2 ways to do that. Flick me an email, so steve@yourspendingcoach.com.au, or jump on the website, www.yourspendingcoach.com.au. Guys, I know it's a fairly long-winded intro, but hopefully it gives you a lot of context as to what you're actually going to get if you come to our workshop. I'd love to see you there. And if you've got any questions, let me know. Thanks.